Welcome everybody to the third Nottaku podcast. I'm your host, Alastair Davis, and today we're going to talk about Fate. Literally everything that has to do with Fate and whatnot. So this is the Fate cast. Of course, I can't do this.
If you're listening to this, you've done this to yourself.
Hey, my introduction was perfect. Stop it.
It is still perfect.
As you can tell, I'm not doing this on my own because they've spoken out of cue. I've got three people with me, two of which you may recognize and the other one is new. So would you please introduce yourselves?
In what order, though?
I'll tell you what, I'm Lewis, I'm the ex-anime rep. I'm the podcast equivalent of your drunk uncle, and I've even brought a strange friend to watch you as you listen. Hugh?
Oh god, is it me now? I am Hugh. I have absolutely nothing to do with the Anime Society in any way, shape or form, except for that one time that I did a session on the Japanese language, and apparently I was all right.
Yo, it's your boy Ben.
Yes!
It's your boy.
You've caught me at a difficult time,
What?
as I'm currently contemplating the different parts of the universe and why Zokan Matar would decide that his sacred worm magic must be in the shape of a penis.
See, if I'm being honest, I'm imagining you saying all this with like a glass of wine just swirling the Budweiser in it, like sorry, a wine glass just swirling.
Yeah, I'm swirling my non-alcoholic Budweiser in a wine glass.
And you just sat there like, what the fuck even is Zokan Matar?
I'm swirling non-alcoholic Budweiser in a wine glass, staring, thinking about how a fucking fake made-up old man, why he would make his special magic look like a penis. That is the saddest sight.
And Kate is just there like, please God pay attention to me, it's been 3 days.
But you're doing it sat in your giant library that's just full of manga and not all of it nice.
Oh, what are you talking about?
Oh
Sweet
god.
Evangelion Doujinshi. Anyway, we're getting off topic. Alastair,
Yes.
wrangle us.
Let's start this thing off because we have a lot of Fate to get through. So the first thing that we should do before we get into the shows is, if somebody is completely new to Fate, has never seen Fate before, knows nothing about it, where do they start? Because there's a lot of it. There's like 11 shows. So
Right. Can I be the one to fall directly on my sword and play devil's advocate here?
I'm gonna go first because I'm the host, so I'm allowed to go first.
I apologize.
So
Sir.
I'm gonna premise.
Using your privileged position.
Yes, I'm gonna premise start this off with, this is if you're only interested in watching the animes, not playing the visual novel, not reading any manga, books, whatever, and not playing any of the games. I think you should start off with the first anime that came out, which is the original Fate Stay Night show made by Studio Dean, because a lot of people say, oh, you don't need to watch that show anymore because UBW exists. Well, you can't start with UBW because Unlimited Blade Works already assumes that you know stuff about the Fate universe. It already assumes that you know how this works.
I'd argue that it doesn't assume it. It does fill you in on stuff. It's just you get a lot more out of it having seen.
Yeah, as in you don't get the full picture without having, because the UBW route from the original visual novel assumes you've already played the Fate route. So it assumes there are bits missing.
It assumes that you've on your own decided that Rin is best girl.
And
right.
We'll leave that discussion for later.
Can we at least wait for an hour before we start trying to kill each other?
I don't even agree with my own statement.
And you can't start.
When do I argue that Shinji is best girl? Anyway.
Oh god! And then
he did nothing wrong.
Hashtag Shinji did nothing wrong.
Depends on the route. Let's be honest. Anyway, go on.
And then other people say you should start with Zero because it's the prequel.
I completely disagree.
I disagree with that as well, because I mean you could start with Zero, but Zero is also the original book was written in a way that they thought you'd already played the visual novel. So also the show is made in a way that you already know the ending. So it's it's meant for people who have already know what's going to happen, essentially.
I will have to disagree with you or disagree there in that I literally knew nothing about Fate Zero to the point where it took 2 years for my good friend Joe to get me to watch it. I watched it and essentially it blew my cock off. I'm not gonna lie, like that's.
I mean, I'm not saying it's not going to do that,
Still looking for it.
but
And we're still looking for it to this day.
But like I would say, that's you can start with Fate Zero. I'm not saying you can't, but I think it's better if you start with the original show because that is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the closest adaptation of the Fate route that you're going to get. It's not quite right, as we're going to get into later on. But I think it's the place to start. Does anybody want to disagree with me or agree with me?
I completely agree with you, Alastair. Like,
Okay, sorry about that. Slight technical issues on my end since my internet's being a bit annoying. But we'll start again right after. So continuing on. So what do you guys think? Where should we start with Fate?
I completely agree with you, Alastair. I think Dean Stay Night is the point where you start Fate. It's personally where I started Fate, and I know what people are going to say about the whole thing. I know people are going to say, read the visual novel or watch Zero or, go for Unlimited Blade Works. I genuinely
You're
think
only saying that because we already said that.
I mean, still. But at the same time, I think that Fate Stay Night, like you say, it's the only place you can get that route adapted. It is a really good introduction to the series in terms of finding out kind of what the universe is about, what your characters are about, where the kind of the whole premise of it, and it is just a genuinely good, or at least I think, romp through. If you want to watch it the first time, you do avoid a lot of the problems by watching it first time round. And it allows you to kind of almost seamlessly roll into either Unlimited Blade Works or Zero, depending on where they want to branch. So I agree with you.
Well, it's like, the analysis I like to use is if you're going to watch Full Metal Alchemist and then Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, you watch Full Metal Alchemist first because if you watch Brotherhood first, you don't like Alchemist, the original.
Or you just watch Brotherhood.
Or you just watch
Brotherhood.
Yeah, I think
No, but if you wanted to watch both, then you watch the original first.
If you wanted to watch both, then you watch Brotherhood, the first episode of the original, and realise you're wrong.
Just to go back there, I just love Hugh. Like, and if you feel like you want to watch something else, like if you want to watch, say, Fate Zero, read the visual novel, Bakemonogatari, Fruit of Grisai, etc., just kill all my points before they happen.
It
is now, bitch. Nah, fucking. I agree with Ben entirely that just read the fucking visual novel. On the other hand, we are on an anime podcast, and therefore we couldn't possibly recommend that you go to that one Reddit thread to tell you how to download it, but you might want to do that.
Or literally, if you're a member of the society, just get into contact with me and ask me to give it you on the USB I have it on.
God, US and Northern, I love you.
He'll meet you in that dark alleyway behind the Trent building.
I will wear a
through.
trench coat, stand in the shade as much as possible, and I will do my best Kermit the Frog impression.
It'll be the dumpster where you can hear Hadoukens, the one.
Is it bad that I was just imagining just someone walking into this dark area, this trench coat, you walking forward and going, "You got the stuff," and going, "Yeah," unbuttoning his trench coat, and you're just wearing a full-on, incredibly accurate Rin cosplay.
See, for some reason I like the idea that his trench coat is completely naked apart from a USB flash drive that was sellotaped to his penis.
And somehow it manages to cover up more than 3/4 of it.
Oh, the shade's been thrown simply because I say you should enjoy something in the original medium it's presented in.
But this is an anime podcast, so there we go.
Right, it's an anime podcast. Honestly, as someone that has seen extensively divulged, drowned himself in the aura of the Fate universe. I've even got the wiki open in front of me right now, and I'm sitting there going, I remember this page. And
Okay, it's back
honestly, if you have any full interest in the series, I would highly recommend the visual novel because it's fantastic. It goes through it in a great order. You get to see it in its original way that it's meant to go through. You don't get any of the stuff cut out that's cut throughout the animes, and you don't get anything that's altered or changed to be seen in a different way. You get to see the original vision of the way it is presented to you. However, if you don't want the visual novel, either you don't have interest in it, you can't attain it in some way, or you're just not interested in spending that much time reading something, I would say
It's a long fucking visual novel.
it is a lot of visual
It is.
novel. I would say either go for the original Fate Stay Night because it is intended to be watched in the order of the Fate route, the Saber route, Unlimited Blade Works, the Rin route, and Heaven's Field, the Sakura route, and
The
it's meant to be
senpai route.
the Senpai.
Senpai.
It's meant to be watched in that order, and so I would heavily recommend that you watch it in that order, or you start with Zero, given the fact that Zero is a completely separate entity but leads in seamlessly to any of those other routes.
I suppose the one thing about watching Zero first is you do at least get the subtleties and the actual force behind Shiro's motivation.
Well, Shiro seems like such a...
Let's
Anyway,
get there.
yeah, we're getting off topic.
Let's
Okay,
get there
yeah.
when we discuss the series. I will say I pretty much agree with Ben entirely. I recommend starting on Fate Zero because I think the characterization's better. We'll get there. Two quick things. Number one, assume all spoilers for all Fate properties, with the exception of the Heaven's Field movies, which will be careful not to spoil.
I think we're going to be trying to be careful not to spoil video games though, because I
Yeah.
played a lot of extra.
Yeah.
I'm not going into all
The-
the stuff.
the only
I,
things that
however,
will
when
s-
talking about... There's a lot of stuff that sort of assumes some knowledge and things of visual novels or video games, and I feel when discussing extra or some of the the Dean
Yeah.
adaptation of the original Fate Stay Night, there will be some inevitable visual novel or the original Fate Extra video game.
I suppose, but I'm not going to
reason
go on and
spoilers.
I'm not going to go on and spend the entire time talking about Attila the Hun in Umbral Star, is what I mean.
My second point as well. Go Space Attila. Woof. My
This
second
good
point I want to make
society.
is. My second point is, if you know nothing about the Fate series, God fucking help you, we do not have the time to cover this shit. You're gonna have to Google that by yourself.
Yeah,
I mean,
if you know nothing, this
does
isn't the
God help
podcast for you. It's basically the thing.
God help you.
I mean, does someone want to try and explain
No,
in like 20 seconds
absolutely,
or less the
absolutely
basic
not.
concept?
Absolutely not.
Oh,
There
I
is-
can
there-
explain-
right.
I
Oh,
can
go on,
explain the
Ben.
Fate series
Explain the
perfectly.
premise. Go.
Okay, you
I
got
can
20 seconds.
Go.
Go.
Okay, here you go. Right. It's a war in which sometimes 7, sometimes more majors, summon 7, sometimes 7 heroes from the past, sometimes the past, sometimes heroes, into fight a Grail war
20
to win
seconds,
the
you're out.
Holy Grail.
You're right.
No,
You're
no,
right.
no, we're going. And that's your introduction to the Fate series, ladies.
I
and
love how
gentlemen.
you were literally just reading a meme that I saw the other day.
I was genuinely trying to remember the meme as strong as I could.
Basically, the Holy Grail exists. A bunch of magicians try to fight over the Holy Grail by summoning servants who are historical figures, or sometimes from the future, to fight over the Holy Grail. The one which wins the fight gets the Grail.
And
which
that's
gets
right. That's your time. Then I get to know. That's your time.
Okay, we're done. Okay, spoilers from now on. We can now.
In a world where anal gives magic,
In a
that's my
world
description.
where-
That's all.
In a world where Nassau decides that every 10 seconds he's changing one of his previous rules.
Alistair, go.
Right, I'm not doing a description for that.
No,
Screw
I mean carry on with the
Oh right,
podcast.
okay. So now we're gonna start. We're gonna start going through all the shows in order.
I thought we were doing our list.
I thought that would be nice to like as a conclusion. No.
A conclusion? Whoa! Where's the
Well,
argument
I
time
think-
there?
I think we should open because it'd be good to get the arguing.
When
It's up to you, Alistair. It's your podcast.
I
Fair,
think
if we start
because
with it, we won't argue because we then have the grounds to discuss it later on, knowing what everyone feels.
okay, fine. We'll go through. So everybody's arranged the shows in order of the least favorite to favorite.
Can Ben go last because I'm looking forward to his?
Okay, Ben can go last. I'm just going to I'll go first, but I will start with saying I have not seen Carnival Phantasm, so this will not be on my list. I will explain later why I have not seen it and when I will probably see it, but that will come when we actually discuss the show. So, least favourite is Grand Order. Yep. Actually,
I don't think you need to justify. I say you just
Okay.
go off, and unless you need to specify like a weird placing, just go.
Okay, so so my least favorite is Fate Grand Order First Order, the movie. Then it's the UBW Unlimited Blade Works movie. Then it's Fate Extra. Then it's Prisma Ilia, the whole thing. That's including the movie and the series. Then it's the original Fate Stay Night. Then it's Apocrypha. Then it's the.
That's high.
I actually quite like Apocrypha, so.
Fair enough.
Then it's today's menu for the Emiya family. Then it's Zero, and then it's Unlimited Blade Works. I think that's all of them.
It's most of them.
I've not included Prototype because that's a 12-minute OVA, and there's no point in including that.
Man, what? Thank you for sharing your wrong list with us.
Also, Heaven's Feel is not in there, and it probably would be top 3 if it was.
Lewis, go.
Okay, alright, I will preface this with saying I have not seen... I literally know nothing about Fate Grand Order. Absolutely square fuck all. That being said, my least favourite of all is the Prismalia series because it makes me feel deeply uncomfortable on a very, very I've been DBS checked level. Just the fear that series puts into me for if anyone saw me watching that, God, it just makes me scared. Next will be Fate Apocrypha, which was verbal diarrhea given form. The most entertaining part of it, by far, is the fact that at one point you got Dr. Octopus getting body slammed into a fucking old, like, Zaz or something, which is quite funny.
I've just figured out the bit you mean.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know the fucking bit. The next one is Fate Extra, literally through no fault of its own, other than I don't know much about it, and it seems like every time I look at it, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
I'm literally watching someone play Fate Extra right now. Next one is... Next one is today's menu for the Emiya family, which is based. It's literally achieved this place purely for that one fucking Mappo meme video, which fucking Aaron Headbutt made. That is literally the only reason.
No Shiro.
Oh god, it is so fucking funny. Next one's Deed Stay Night because it's a treasure.
Yay.
It is
realize the
actually a treasure.
Mappo video is actually from Heaven's Feel movie, right?
Sorry. Oh, is it actually? I didn't.
Yeah, it is.
Oh well, in which case,
do we get bumped?
Burned. Yeah, I was about to say I got burned. In which case, yeah, fuck today's menu for the Emiya family. In which case, that's actually bumped up the Heaven's Field movie to its position. Let's go with that. Just to make it simple. The Prismalia movie I actually quite liked. It's mental. I like the fact that Kadeth appears in it for like 20 seconds. Like, I don't know, man. Carnival Phantasm, it's really fucking funny. What am I looking at? Where am I next? Yeah, here we go. The Unlimited Blade Works movie, because it's utterly inoffensive and a fine watch for an hour and a half. It's utterly inoffensive! Like, there's nothing wrong.
Lewis.
Right.
Okay, we'll go for this later. Continue.
Right. So my point is, like, someone took a series and then it's an anime movie adaptation. There is nothing like if you're gonna hate that, you gotta hate everything else as much as it. It's like,
Continue, Lewis.
I think it's utterly inoffensive anyway. Carnival, yeah, I've already mentioned Carnival Phantasm. Then Unlimited Blade Works, the actual series. Then Fate Zero on top.
Right. This is where me and you, Lewis, diverge quite significantly. At number 11, it's the unlimited. It's the Unlimited Blade Works movie. I had the displeasure of watching it a couple of days ago, and I will get on to why I dislike that thing with a passion a bit later.
Number 11, there's 12.
Which one am I? Oh well, number.
I've got 12 at least.
Well, I'm not including Prototype, and I've got the Prismaria Things of One.
Okay, I've got
Well,
Prismarilia's one, but I'm
13 minus 2 does admittedly equal 11 if we are begrudging it.
Grand Order, I've got as number 10. Just
Can someone briefly give me the TLDR on Grand Order?
yeah.
Grand
Well,
Order, every hero under the sun, including some that aren't even heroes and shouldn't exist.
Yeah, but
it's
not the
pulled out
movie.
To make money in a phone game.
It's a great.
Alright, cool. It's a phone game. Alright, cool.
It's a phone game. Yeah.
it's a great game. It's an incredibly mediocre movie. Number 9, Apocrypha. I agree with you, Lewis. It started strong. It fell down, and it reeks of lost potential.
That thing fell down like my auntie fell down the fucking stairs. Sorry, we'll talk about this later. Sorry.
I want to hear about your auntie.
8 is Prismaelia. I'm with you, Lewis. I've been DBS checked, and Prismaelia just sends shivers up my spine. I think it has the occasional moment where it's not being fan servicey, where it can be genuinely interesting, but the rest of the time, I'm just broken by it.
Oh, for reference viewers, a DBS check is the check they do before you become a teacher to make sure you're not a paedophile.
It's more than that. It's the check they do whenever you need to work with kids.
It's essentially all they care about, really. Anyway,
yeah. 7 is Dean Stay Night. I really like Dean Stay Night. We'll get on to that. Number 6, Extra Last Encore. I've only watched 10 episodes because I'm waiting for the next 3 to come on Netflix. I'm just kind of in love with that show, but that might be something to do with me being in love with Shaft. Who knows? Shut up.
Someone forgot Shaft was in an anime studio for a second. Can you guess it was me?
Yes, watch Monogatari. It's my favorite.
I had that. It was alright.
Going back to the first ever podcast that I wasn't on, Monogatari is my favorite anime of all time. Number 5, Apocrypha episode 22. The one episode of Apocrypha that I genuinely jaw dropped because that animation is stellar.
It is.
You put that as a separate thing?
Yeah, because it deserves to be a separate thing.
Where the budget of the show went.
because it deserves to be a separate thing. It's that good. Number
Alastair,
4.
that was the episode where the cocaine bucket ran out and they finally got on a creative idea.
It's when they got the pencils and the crayons out and actually decided to make something good. Number 4, Menu for the Emiya Family. I love it. Like, I'm a cook myself. I absolutely adore that show. Number 3, Carnival Phantasm. Even the Tsukahime bits, just that show is one of the funniest things ever made. It just is. Then it's Zero, and then it's Unlimited Blade Works, the series at top.
I love how I have somebody on my side this time.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
By someone, do you mean it's just not me crucifying your every decision, Alistair?
While I sit there half silent and just be like, I mean, I agree that Zero's better, but...
What's happened here is it's the first episode of the podcast again, but we've undiversified.
Fuck, this is it. This is the podcast crew from now on. It's just everyone getting shit-faced on my sofa while we record with a
I mean,
toaster.
I won't
getting
do the
shit faced on
alcohol.
non-alcoholic piss water.
Alright, you can fuck off a family
drink,
alcoholic stuff.
but I'm absolutely up for this just being the crew now. Ben,
this is
go.
the crew. Yeah, of course. 2001
Ben, meme us with your
Alright,
list.
alright. Number 12, because I'm required to put it at number 12 due to the fact I have regular government security checks due to my job, Prismaelia.
There we go. Thank you.
Thank you. I like that out of all of us, the 3 people that have proper jobs have all basically had to asterisk Prismaelia with the I'm not weird, I promise.
Right, here's the thing. Here is my pretense to Prismaelia in this position on my list. Prismaelia has incredibly interesting lore and a lot of dark content that could go really far.
It
However,
also
they
has a
decided to
woman
mask it
getting turned
in,
into a bear.
8-year-old girls.
I love
getting
that
laid
bit.
out against their will.
Well, that bit's great. It's the rest of it.
It's also got 8-year-old sexual
Hey,
assault.
should we leave the let's leave the Prismaelia discussion for when we actually talk about it, please.
Number
I'll
11.
level with you, Alistair. You had me at let's leave Prismaelia.
Woo! Number 11. Unlimited Blade Works Dean version.
Yes.
Now, my temptation to fuck with everyone and just go number 12 Fate Zero. Number 11, Unlimited Blade Works. Ufotable version. Number 10.
Yeah, but why don't you just do it properly so this
But, no,
podcast lasts the 5 hours, not the 6?
Oh,
I'm sorry. At this
I
rate,
want
it's
to
going to
make
be
this
5
last
days.
forever. Unlimited Blade Works Steam version. Yeah, it's a slideshow show. Number 10, Grand Order. Oh my god, did that under-deliver. Number 9, Apocrypha. It might be higher, but fuck off. I'm sick of people making a stall for memes.
What? A stealth for best girl?
We'll
It
get onto
makes
Stolper and
it
their places
better.
in our hearts.
Number 8, Fate Prototype. Genuinely watched it, quite enjoyed it as a kind of shit but amusing. And genuinely, Fate Prototype was my first intro to Fate outside of the main series.
Really? Did not
yeah.
know.
Yeah. Number 7, Fate Extra. I played the original game. I quite like Extra. It's quite a good series. I'm enjoying it. Fuck off, you. You just posted a nice image in the chat. Number 6,
Yay!
Fate Stay Night Dean version. I'll give them. They tried the Fate route, and no one else has tried it yet, which is why I'll give them it so high. But fuck off, they butchered half of it. Number 5, Unlimited Blade Works. I like Unlimited Blade Works. I like it a fuck ton, to the point it competes with Fate Zero for my favourite. However, stuff from the Fate series that I enjoy more. Number 4, Fate Zero. You may also be thinking at this point, but Ben, you put Fate Zero in your top 3 overall anime, and here it's only top 4 in your Fate series? What?
I suppose
That's
there's a difference.
because
I suppose there's
the
a difference
other three in
between.
this list, I literally could not put on the list due to either Alastair's bullshit rules or due to the fact that they require lots of prior knowledge of the series. Number 3.
My rules weren't
Basically,
bullshit.
that's a soy boy.
I'm sorry, I've not got my silent today.
Number 3,
Number
those
3,
those
Heaven's
animated
Feel.
version DVDs that they do.
Heaven's Feel, genuinely, the movie was really good, and it was worth the wait, and the adaptation is looking incredibly promising. I can't wait for the next 2 movies.
I'm going to be honest with you. The moment we start talking about Heaven's Feel, I'm throwing headphones. I'm not seeing that, and I don't want spoilers.
Oh no, we won't talk about spoilers.
Oh, thank Christ.
Number 2, today's menu for the Amiya Sorry, Kate came in showing something off and then dropped it on the floor.
Today's menu for the Emiya family.
Number 2, today's menu for the Emiya family. I fucking love this show. I really love this show. It has the sweet cooking moment. It has the reactions between the characters and the sort of interactions that I really wanted to see between I'll get into it more later. Fuck off. I just love this show. Number 1, Carnival Phantasm. It's just fucking glorious. As someone who grew up on Tsukihime and Fate Stay Night visual novels, it has everything I could possibly dream of in a wet meme dream.
No, I can agree with that. I think we get onto that later, though.
Exactly, hence why I tried to keep it short.
Mm.
That you can notice the moments during my description where my mind suddenly goes, shit, shouldn't be going into this detail.
Okay. Well, I think that covers everybody's list. So I think we should just get into the shows. I've split these shows up into sections to give it a bit more of an order. So let's get on to the...
A grand order? Fucking kill me.
Let's get into the first segment of the podcast. Well, this is kind of like the second segment of the podcast, but whatever. That I have
Or
dubbed...
third.
Yeah, that I have dubbed Dean Stay Night. So we're talking about both Dean adaptations of the show. So we'll start with the original, which is Fate Stay Night.
Right, I love Fate Stay Night. Absolutely, without question. I think it's great, and and this is coming from someone who has seen all of the rest of Fate now. I still genuinely, unironically love Dean Stay Night. Even the 3D dragon, it's weird, but I just love it. I've watched it about 3 times now, and the only reason it's not higher up on my list is because I'm aware of its foibles.
See, I think this is literally going to be one of those shows where is it one of those age classics where everyone's like, oh, but like it's like watching the original fucking like from watching the original Pokemon series where it's like you look at it and go, Christ, this is abortive from time to time, but you're still like, oh, but I love it because it was the one I grew up on, and I get the feeling that that's going to be where our division lies with this show.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, I would say go and watch Glass Reflections video titled "In Defense of Dean Stay Night" because
I would, but it would involve watching Glass Reflection.
I mean, yeah, it would involve watching Glass Reflection, but he kind of states everything that I kind of agree on.
Yeah, the same for me, actually.
Stay Night.
Do you want to restate them here, given that this is our podcast?
Yeah. Go for it, so that people don't click away and never come back. Basically, he defends. Bye-bye. And welcome back. That was a word from our sponsors. Basically, he sits down, he discusses the idea that Dean Stay Night is a great, excellent kind of opening point. It is the only anime adaptation of the original Fate Stay Night that you get. A lot of its problems can be chalked down to its time period. A lot of its problems can also be chalked down to a lot of Fate fans getting quite angry at some of the points that is put into it. For instance, a lot of Fate fans get very angry that they ruined Shiro in Dean Stay Night, that he goes from being this champion of justice to more of this kind of, I'm just going to go in there because I'm the greatest and I need to help people, and I've completely forgotten that I'm a kind of basic mage, and that's literally King Arthur.
I kind of literally took the entire thing of Dean's adaptation of, man, sure really wants that saber puss.
It kind of is as well, though, isn't it?
Well,
like,
yeah.
I'm also the weird dude that kind of likes the ending. I know that that's almost blasphemic in the Fate fandom, but
I mean, you do realize that the Fate route is literally the #1 route in Japan.
Yeah. I'm aware.
Yeah, but the Japanese also like Stardust Crusaders, so what the fuck do they know?
I like Stardust Crusaders.
No, but they
also like Stardust
over Diamonds Unbreakable. I like Stardust Crusaders, but they prefer over Diamonds Unbreakable.
Can I say my problem with Diamonds Unbreakable just quickly? Koichi is not the main character, and I don't want to see him as much as I do. Anyway, so the reason why Dean Stay Night works so well for me is that it does introduce those characters, with the exception of Shiro, kind of perfectly. It kind of goes off the rails towards the end, but I like it.
I mean, from my point of view, it was the first Fate show that I'd ever watched, so I had nothing to compare it against when I first watched it. I enjoyed it. Now I've seen the other adaptations. Obviously, I prefer Ufotable stuff, obviously, but it's still a good show. Like, it's not terrible by any means. I mean, I don't like the CGI dragon. I think it looks stupid.
I don't think anybody likes the CGI dragon.
Fucking bullshit. I wanted to watch Rinny out Saber, and now I'm just left here with a fucking erect cock and a dragon there, and I'm like, well, I guess now I'm into bestiality.
You just bed there like, well, guess I go to e-hentai.
Yeah, I mean, I still haven't managed to play through the visual novel yet. I have it, but it's a lot of stuff to go through, and I just haven't had the time. So I don't know what the differences are between the anime adaptation and the actual visual novel, so I wouldn't know. I don't have anything to compare it to, essentially.
I would like to point out that Ben is currently doing the advertising shout out in the chat. And on that note, continue.
Oh, for God's sake. Yeah, I've completely lost my train of thought.
Yeah, I'd expect so, honestly.
Are we just talking Dean Stay Night, or are we talking the Blade Works movie, or are we?
We'll stay that. That's for the next bit. But I think it's still fine. I've watched it twice. So the first time I watched it, I hadn't seen anything. The second time I watched it was we were watching Fate Zero in the Anime Society, and of course we were watching it week by week, very slowly. Of course, I didn't want to. I didn't want to, watch the rest of it.
Society. Screw it. Never go back. Watch it at your own pace and burn the place down.
Well, no, I was just like, I want to watch more Fate, but I can't. I don't want to watch Unlimited Blade Works until we finish Zero, and I didn't want to watch all of Zero because we were watching it in the Anime Society anyway. So I decided to rewatch Dean Stay Night, and I enjoyed it the second time round still. So
Yeah,
even after watching half of Zero, so.
I did as well, and that's what surprised me, because I knew that it very well looked at by the society of as a whole, and I expected going back to watch it, I was going to become one of those haters. I was ready to crucify Shiro, the dragon, the ending, the art style, and I came away kind of a bit more hardcore about the entire thing. Hell, I think the show looks fabulous. Like, I genuinely love the art style of that show because it's so close to the original visual novel.
It's very close to the original visual novel, but I dare argue it's not animated.
Yeah, but then again, there's lots and lots of shows that you could argue are animated. I mean, Berserk's the greatest slideshow ever made.
I mean, Berserk
True
is the
enough.
greatest slideshow ever made, but the thing behind Berserk is everyone fucking reads the manga.
Well, the thing,
Ben, stop, please, please, don't hurry me. I'll read the visual novel. Ben, stop.
Ben, we get it. We are but scrubs to your superior visual novel.
I mean, that wasn't what I was saying at all. I was more making a comment about.
I mean, all you were saying was, hey, but with Berserk, people going, see the original source. Wouldn't that be amazing if we all saw the original source?
yeah.
Read the visual novel. Read the visual novel.
Free.
You know the episode of The Simpsons where a load of the boys get drafted in to be a boy band and they sing that song,
Yes,
and
yes.
it turns out to be an advert for the Navy.
Even at neon.
That's the
Even
entire.
at neon.
That's
I
the
want to know what
entirety
fucking
of Ben's.
VCR that guy had, where he could rewind it and it played the song in reverse.
You know what? I'm fairly jealous of that.
But that
What
right
sort of
there,
fucking
Ben,
magic was that?
that right there, Ben, is you in this podcast.
I'd say it was some special Fate magic, but it wasn't in the shape of a penis, so clearly it wasn't anything mapped out.
No, and if you let
Breast worms.
and if you let Rin anywhere near it, that thing's getting shot multiple times with magic
She
bullets.
is gonna shock it because she has no fucking clue what technology even is. Technology!
Whoa!
It's no wonder that people are afraid of technology. Now we're talking about Brass Eye, which is something I never thought would come up in a Fate-related podcast.
Oh,
But
dude,
anyway.
dude, I was about to go into Love Live, but there we go.
Oh god.
No, Nico,
Right.
Nico, no!
Oh no, I was going for Zura, but there we go.
Oh, okay.
I haven't watched the original. I've only watched Sunshine because I'm weird, and Alastair has gone so silent.
What? I was opening a window. That's why.
So is
Opening
Dean
a
Stay
window to
Night...
escape from this trash.
Well, no, to escape the heat.
So is
Sure
Dean
is
Stay
getting-
Night...
sure is hot today.
Man, I sure love being on topic, sorry what?
Yes, go,
Fucking,
Lewis. You're allowed to speak.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say, oh fucking stop advertising for the Navy. Fucking, I was just gonna say that fucking Dean Stay Night, does that include us talking about the Blade Works movie?
We haven't got there yet, but if
It's
nobody has
definitely
anything to say about the
Please.
I think we're at
The
the point
show.
where we need to compare the two and
Let
Okay.
me
one big
rip into this.
Bean
So
Alright.
we'll combine this now with the Dean Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works movie, which I
Clip
will
show.
clip show, and for me, it's a recap movie. Essentially, is what it looks like. It's a recap movie that came out before the series.
So I will now stake my claim on not even defending this piece of shit, but just playing devil's advocate, because let's be honest, all of Fate is awful. but like. But apart from where Generabuchi's touched it, please touch me, Generabuchi.
He's probably listening to this now, and he's thinking,
God, I hope
these,
so.
these
God,
four boys, we need them in the next Godzilla movie.
Yeah, I'll say we need them to get involved. But anyway, no. So I will. You know, the problem is, I think my defense of it is going to be the same reasons why you take it out, because it's one film, okay, and you're trying to encapsulate all of our limited blade works. No. I mean, that's just a stupid fucking idea.
And that's my problem with it.
But let's say, for example, you're a Johnny Anime or whatever, and you're there with your several billion yen, and you're just like, I want pictures of fucking Spider-Man, and consequently you're handed this project and are told, make a movie of the Unlimited Blade Works series. What do? Well, you do exactly what the only thing you can do, make a clip show of all the action scenes.
You take
that's all you do.
yen and you run
Or you
off
have
to
the balls to
Philippines.
say no.
Well, Ben, come on, you know that's the way that it's not the way.
Can I-
No, it'll be 2 movies or a series.
No, Ben, come on, you know that's the way this shit doesn't work. Someone was approached and was told, if you want a fucking job for your starving animators, you are making an adaptation of this visual novel.
I
and
think
they did the only thing they could have done, which was make a
I-
fucking
I-
clip show of all the action
fucking
scenes.
anime halls.
What?
I think it went more like this. Dean Stay Night was surprisingly popular, and we peed a couple of people off. Quickly make Unlimited Blade Works. Oh god, it's getting worse.
On that, the one thing I will give Stay Night is the
And back we go.
the I am the bone of my sword scene. Fight with
It's a good
Berserker.
bit.
Yeah.
It's very, very well done, that entire scene.
Yeah.
And if I will give that show anything, I will give it that, because that scene
Dolphins.
I genuinely I finished the visual novel and I
Fucking
watched that scene and I was like, oh shit, is this a cutscene from the Rialto Nua version? And was like looking it up and I'm like, oh no, it was an anime version, and then went into the anime version and then came out and was like, why did they do that to so many parts of the
No.
Well, the
No.
At
thing.
least they tried.
The thing that, like, I kind of understand where you're coming from, Lewis, with about the movie, of the fact of, yeah, they did the best they could with what they had, like, the guidelines that they were given, like, make an Unlimited Blade Works movie. But they missed.
The other thing is, yeah, go
They
on.
missed a really important scene from the, like, the one scene that's missing is the scene at the very beginning that actually is where the route diverges from the Fate route, which is the moment where Shiro stops Saber with a command seal from attacking Archer. That moment is not in the movie. And when you look later on at his hand, he still has 3 command seals left, even though he only has 2.
That
Well,
right
that's-
there is the least of that movie's
But,
problems.
I mean,
Go
that's
on.
one of the things.
That's
That's
what I was
the.
going to say. Don't take umbrage with things. Right, this thing doesn't have a plot. Don't take umbrage with the plot. The plot isn't a thing. It doesn't exist. What they've done is they took a slideshow and decided, a visual novel, literally, and just we're gonna make all the fucking action scenes that we can out of this fucking thing because that's the easiest thing that we can fucking do. Now, to its credit, I only watched it this afternoon, and it looks like Ufotable at the very least liked the choreography. I mean, the shot choreography
It's not
is
Ufotable,
fine.
mate. Dean did.
No, it's not. No, I know it's not. That's my point. When fucking Ufotable came back to it and did the series,
Oh, right, sorry.
they've lifted some of the shot choreography. So the shot choreography is fine. That's my point about this. It's fine.
Okay, well,
The
okay.
shot
Here's...
choreography is based off of the visual.
Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
here's-
Exactly. I'll play it
I-
then. Please stop torturing my balls.
I have next to me my notes for when I watched this thing.
Oh god, yeah.
We've got a professional here. He made notes.
I did. I made notes on this thing, pointing out exactly what happens at each point and what I thought about it. And the fact of the matter is, the Saber summon happens at 5 minutes with literally no introduction whatsoever. Up until Lancer reappears, like at the end of the thing, he says 2 things. He says "yo" and "die."
TLDR.
What else do we have here? When Rin and Shiro have their first elongated interaction, there's one camera angle for 2 minutes.
Oh
Just
yeah, that bit. Yeah.
one camera angle, and it's
Which
someone.
oh, is that the bit where she's down the fucking road? And
Yes.
they clearly
It's
ran
just-
out of animation budget.
They forgot. They completely forgot. The good bits of this show, of this film, are the action scenes. The rest of it is just because it's a clip. Because
It's
a
lacking.
clip,
It's
because it's a
critically
clip
lacking.
show, it forgets to do plot except when it absolutely has to.
Yeah.
And, like it almost feels like it's kind of going, oh, do I have to? Right, fine. I am the bone of my sword. Now can I go back to hitting things with things?
Yeah.
And
Do you
like,
want
like
to know the extra layer of misery I had on my viewing experience?
go on.
I decided purely based on this fucking chat that we had that it was going to be so bad. I just watched the whole thing dubbed, actually.
I watched it dubbed as well.
Right, Alastair, see if you agree with me with this. Archer is Liam O'Brien, actually not that bad.
Yeah.
You know, most of the male voice actors are so generic it hurts. Gilgamesh actually made me cry with laughter the first time he opened his fucking mouth.
I would
like
like to,
an hour in.
I'd like to point out that when Gilgamesh first turns up, like Elia and Berserker have been on screen for less than 3 minutes each.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So they appear in one fight, then die.
It's literally original fight, then just out of nowhere, like you've had like this whole the whole kind of there's rule breaker and all this thing, and out of nowhere it's just it's literally meanwhile at the Irius Veal mansion, and it's just Berserker no stab.
It
It
doesn't
doesn't-
a great deal as to the shot pacing of this fucking thing. In the Shira gets the idea in his head. We should probably go visit the fucking Einsberg Manor. And just to give you an idea of just how rushed this film is, the fight between Gilgamesh and Berserker is done by the time they fucking get there. It's literally finishing.
I like to think they didn't even
Chains
read
of
the
Heaven.
novel. They were just given like every scene in the UBW route and just not even given an order and just told here it is, and they
Just
went
stay
all right.
put together,
Well,
mate.
Shira visits the church, and then Ilya dies, and then Lancer kills Rin in Shira. No, Shinji shows up, and then oh no!
I'll also say this: the one detracting thing about all the combat in this fucking thing, the blood looks like red cum. I'm sorry, it looks
It's not good.
awful. It's horrible.
It
It is the
looks
worst. Like my favorite bit is when fucking Kirei gets blindsided by fucking when she makes fucking witch face, and literally he turns around and then there's just blood come on the screen. Then it cuts to her explaining to Rin that he's dead. Just-
Oh yeah, that block's gone, man. I think that entire scene would have been better if they had actually given Lancer an actual Irish accent, like just straight up, just
And
like
all the time,
I don't know about
the music
that
from
there, Rin. I
Fate
just went
Zero
over there and
played.
stabbed him in the heart.
Okay, so you die.
All the time the Fate Zero fucking Irie versus Kyrie fight goes up, music goes off where it's like
Yeah, oh your god, that awful sound.
Can
I
I-
know
can I-
the exact thing you mean is when shitty CGI bird appears.
it's shitty CGI bird that ties him to a tree that he
And
then
then he-
without moving manages to
suplexes.
break at the bottom.
My favorite thing about the Unlimited Blade Works movie, this is genuine, is you can tell where the free sound effects were purchased.
Oh
because
god, yeah.
the amount, like Lewis, did you notice as well? The amount of Star Wars
The
blasters.
Star Wars blaster noises, yes!
Thank
fucking
you. It's the bit where Saber's jumping over the rooftops, and literally, I'm just like, where the heck is this stormtrooper fight going on?
Well, it doesn't matter because he's clearly missing.
I know the exact. I knew the exact. At one point, they played Han's fucking blaster noise, and I remember because it was when someone got stabbed.
Oh yeah, I remember that. It was just like the pew from Hans Blaster, just like what's going on?
It's I love it. I love that when three stock sounds collide. For example, did you know that the visceral attack noise is the same noise that JoJo's Bizarre Adventure uses to introduce new stands?
Oh my word, it is as well.
Yeah.
My other major issue with the Unlimited Blade Works movie is because it doesn't do any of the character development.
Yeah, that
One
was
of the,
yeah.
one of the big problems that Dean Stay Night has is people say, okay, it ruined Shiro. I did not see that in Dean Stay Night, and holy crap, do I see it in Unlimited Blade Works, because it forgets to do any real characterization. Shiro just says, I am a champion of justice, and then spends the entire movie running into fights he has no reason to be in until the final episode.
This is an overall Unlimited Blade Works thing for me, of holy fucking god, I love the Unlimited Blade Works route, but Jesus Christ, is it my least favourite Shiro, because he learns fucking nothing.
No, you're wrong. He learned how to defeat the champion of all heroes just by hitting with swords.
Can we save this, guys? Please.
Yeah, let's leave
guys,
that
please
discussion.
Save that one, because I've actually got a really big point to add to that bed, but only for the Unlimited Blade Works modern one, if that's all right.
Sorry.
Are we?
I think we're pretty done.
My final point, and it's the final point of the movie, which I did say slightly before we got on air, but we weren't recording, is I don't know what I was thinking while I was watching this film. I have at least got at one point on this thing, brackets, I started playing on my phone. But at 1:40, I've just got written in capital letters, money shot, and I still don't know what that means. And I think it's the bit where he turns around and he looks like Shiro, but I don't know.
Or is it the bit where Rin's just sitting in the window?
I don't
Which is like
know.
the final shot of the movie.
I don't know. I was being professional and writing all of this stuff down, but you can tell how much I stopped caring, because I've got 117, 122, and then 140. I spend 18 minutes forgetting to make notes, and then I just wrote money shot. So whatever happened...
Are you sure that wasn't just the note for your separate porn video you were filming?
Absolutely. I've absolutely no idea. I've just got this thing.
1 minute 40 in, money shot.
I've just got weird stuff here. At one point, I've just written down Tiger No. So there we go.
This is definitely pornographic directions. The dub voice for Tiger was actually all right.
I like
anyway,
Tiger. Tiger is literally my favorite character in the entire show, and there we.
Is the dub voice for Tiger when you said she's your favourite voice, Lewis? All I heard was, Hirata, you pretend.
Oh god.
Kazuma-san!
But I saw right through you.
The only thing that's good about the dub is that Rin's voice is consistent throughout all of the shows. It's the only voice actor that is the same in Dean Stay Night, both like the series and the movie.
She had nothing else to do.
and Liam Blint Unlimited Blade Works series.
What's her name?
I can't remember.
I'll give it to Liam O'Brien because I have a huge man crush on him.
Hang on a minute.
I'll get to the Unlimited Blade Works dub when we get to the show. I have a massive gripe with it.
He's pretty good.
If you are watching, Mila Lee, that's the voice actor for Rin.
Oh yes, it is.
Call,
the same one in,
call Alastair. He misses you. Right, Alastair. I think we're wrapping.
Yeah, I think we're good with Dean Stay Night there.
If we're calling out to voice actors in the dub scene, I would just like to point out that Crispin Freeman, please, we want you back.
Crispin Freeman, I love you, but fuck off right now while I ask Liam O'Brien to call me.
Crispin Freeman, I get it, your Overwatch money's, but I need more sarcastic Kyon in my life.
Jason Lee, break this one goes out to you, buddy, purely because I'm the only one who remembers you.
Okay.
Because you watched it less than 4 hours ago.
Barbara Dunkelman. If you're
Jason
listening
Lee
to
the voice
this,
of Hay for Darker Than Black.
Why are you bringing up Rooster Teeth people now?
because she voices Yang, and as far as I'm concerned, that means that I'm allowed to start throwing this stuff in.
Well, if you want,
Abrams,
I will
love you too.
I will send her you'll
No,
love when I
fuck
meet
off,
her
next
in
show. Right, guys,
September.
next on the list, we're moving on to unlimited budget work.
No, we're not. We're moving on to Zero.
No, as in I've
That
called the
is
segment
the
Unlimited
title.
Budget Works.
Oh, right. Sorry, I didn't have the
So yeah,
section
we're
up.
moving
I'm
over to the
professional.
next segment, which is Unlimited Budget Works, where we talk about all the things made by Ufotable, or the main stuff anyway.
Well, yeah. Not.
Man, can we just take a minute to appreciate how much Ufotable just like cum money on the consumers' faces?
Thing is, though, they don't. Like,
You're
they...
right, they've got vacuum dicks that when
No,
they stroke it, sucks the money out of the consumer's pocket.
No. The budgets for Fate Zero and Unlimited Blade Works are very similar to the budgets of most animes. It's just that Ufotable know how to make something look really good on a lower budget. It's
the
why.
mess.
It's why Tales of Zestria, despite the fact it's a complete mess series, looks mwah.
Looks more.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Anyway.
why anything that has Ufotable's name on it, you can look at it and you're like, I could watch this. Like, I might not like it, but I'll enjoy watching it.
Yeah. I mean, alright, so if we're talking about your Ufotable stuff, I made most of my points in the top 5 video where Fate Zero is my second favorite anime of all time because it's got great characterization. It's the best character-based action show I've ever seen. My love for Gen Ibuchi is well documented at this point, but he just knows what works.
He's not
and
listening,
he uses
mate.
it. Fucking, I can always dream. Hugh, why don't you just not shoot them down for me? That'd be really appreciated.
Look, dude, I've shouted out 3 voice actors today. Like, none of them are listening.
Nah, but anyway, so I love Fate Zero. Fate Unlimited Blade Works, the series for me falls down because of the reason that Ben mentioned earlier. And I'll jump on this now. I stayed until 4 a.m. watching Unlimited Blade Works the first time because it really engaged me and I had to know how this shit ended.
Oh, you did it in one go, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I
Yeah.
literally-
With
I
a
forgot
magic
about that.
wrestling fight.
I did it in
when
2 days.
When Unlimited Blade Works was first coming out was the time that I started introducing most of my friends to Fate through Fate Zero. Then was like, you lucky bastards, you don't have the 2-month gap. And then as we were continued watching Unlimited Blade Works, the 2-month gap happened. And I went, I'm prepared for this, you pricks. Now you enjoy it.
Yeah. But my point is, and I did watch it all in one go, was I was sat there and I was desperately curious as to how are they going to resolve the Shiro's character arc. Is in the basic premise is just that he discovers that his ideals will one day lead him to doom, and he needs to do something to change them. Their solution is he doesn't do anything. The end. He's happy with Rin, and I got very upset at that. Like I was just so mad at how much they pressed this story point and nothing happened. Nothing happened.
Well, see, this is the thing. See, Unlimited Blade Works does 2 things for me in that regard. It's like, one, it shows to me that in that route, like, Shiro learns the least, and he continues on with his ideals, which every route proves are entirely flawed.
Don't
every
throw yourself into this. Think
Yeah,
about it.
every other route outwardly says this is the wrong choice. And then this route, he sticks to them so stubbornly, even when his own self that has lived that route tells him no, don't do it.
I like the fact
still
that we've just
by it.
completely jumped Zero and we've gone straight to Unlimited Blade.
I imagine. I'm not gonna lie. I think the Ufotable one is gonna cover everything, and then a brief
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only so many ways I can say that Fate Zero is a work of perfection. So
Oh,
I
no,
just
but-
said
but-
that and I left it be.
Anyway,
Fate Zero
Shiro,
is. Oh no, go on. Sorry.
Shiro does his shit. He dives through, and he decides, no, I'm going to stick to this, despite that every other route has way more progression than this. However, it comes to the end of that point, and you hit the fact of, Jesus Christ, Lewis, you're breathing like a hurricane.
Sorry.
It hits the route, and you go through and you watch it, and you're like, all right, well, there's 2 things I've learned from this. One, this route, Shiro was... Oh, I remember that news article, you piece of shit. Shiro was genuinely the most idiotic, stubborn, and selfish person that I have ever seen. And then from there, but he still ends in a good situation, and that's entirely down to the way that Rin handles the entire thing. And the fact that following this route, he allows himself to open up to Rin and be with her and acknowledge his feelings for her. Because every single route touches on the fact that Shiro has feelings for Rin.
It's the most like I was going to mention it about the movie actually, but didn't see that necessary. One of the big shames of the movie is the one bit where
Oh, wait, it's the Unlimited Blade Works movie or the
the Unlimited Blade Works movie. I was
thank
gonna
Christ,
say,
gone.
No, it's a real shame in the Unlimited Blade Works movie when there's a scene with the two of them sat there in the park. And then he's like, well, best be off. And then the actual series takes the opportunity for him to go, yeah, I like you, obviously, you dumb fuck.
Yeah,
and, like,
exactly.
that's a really sweet bit. It's one of the best scenes in the whole Blade
Every
Works.
single route touches on the fact that Shiro has a thing for Rin. Literally every single one.
Every single route can touch on the fact that Rin, by the fact that Rin manages to, by her own complete unknowingness, summon. Okay, this is the first big spoiler out of the entire lot. Manages to summon a future version of Shiro simply because that necklace that she has on her is so intrinsically, almost like wholly universally tied between the two of them that even when she tries to summon a saber, the universe is like, nah, girl, you get your husband.
She is also off by an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, she is
She
also
is
off by an hour.
also
She is
off by
also
an
off by an hour, but it's the entire universe going, nah, babes, you
Yeah,
get your husband and you're going to like it.
Well, yeah, exactly. And then, and you see, you go through the route and all of that stuff, and you compare the two, like the bonus epilogue that's not given in the visual novel and in the Ufotable version.
Oh yeah, magical wrestling.
They're in London!
Which I appreciated mainly due to the fact that I got to see Woke waver.
Oh,
And-
Luke.
Oh,
no,
God,
no.
Like, puberty hits waver like a fucking freight train.
I like to think it's not puberty. I like to think, nah, I'm getting to his Iskander level. He picks up the weights, and then afterwards he picks up his granddad, and then.
Well, it's from all those
that
times
final...
he presented his ass to fucking Ryder, just
Oh,
like
he was
Ryder
just
just
like,
eventually.
I got a beef.
Like,
So I can clench in my time of need.
Fate Zero, why does Waver keep presenting himself
Right.
like
We will move on to
can I-
that once I finish this.
Yeah,
This is
can
a
I
long
just
point.
say
I'm sorry for the long point.
That final episode gets me, not because I get to see Woke Waver, but because I finally get to see Luvia, and my word, do I like
Luvia.
Oh, Luvia is nice.
Yeah.
Luvia's best girl.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I say
Nice.
best girl.
But yeah, we go through. You go through your stuff. Everything happens. But despite it all, despite the fact that Shiro so pointlessly and idiotically clings to his ideals of justice that everyone, including himself, has told him is stupid and there's no way that he's going to succeed from it. One, Rin stands by him,
but my adopted dad.
and two, yeah, but even his adopted dad didn't want him to take that up.
Oh god, yeah. I mean,
I love
And
every fate route. Sorry, just Kiritsugu dies of just mystery cancer.
no, right. I will explain to you how Kiritsugu dies in a second if you want, but after
Oh yeah,
that,
please.
he
before
lost
that,
too many
right,
ribs.
It's your origin, Kiritsugu. Eat more.
The fact in Unlimited Blade Works that Rin manages to take the most stubborn, the most set in the ways, and the most fucked over Shiro that he could possibly be, because he is going to become Archer, and stops him. Just totally stops him and brings him a new way of life and a new lease on looking at things, while still sticking to the way that he is. That to me really appeals in Unlimited Blade Works, because you get to genuinely see these two people come together and help each other become a better version of themselves, not change themselves, become a better version of themselves.
That for me is one of the reasons why Unlimited Blade Works is my number one. That it genuinely is one of those shows that has that character progression a lot more. I can completely see, Ben, what you mean about Shiro and kind of like his movements, but it is the only version where you do get this look of almost kind of self-reflection, of people, where Rin at the end of Dean's Day Night, I'm not sure about Heaven's Feel, is kind of a little bit similar to how she is at the beginning. Whereas she does completely change over the course of Untitled Blade Works. Shiro kind of sticks to his guns, but does change quite substantially. I mean, even Archer changes so much over the course of it, where he has that weird, that rockiness, where he kind of starts to think to himself, maybe I should probably be in this for myself.
The sympathy he has toward him.
It's the fact that he's suicidal for his past self, which is really such an interesting character dynamic.
Had those sort of pointless dreams of grandeur. It's really nice to see the sort of beaten, tired, given up old version that chased those dreams and ended up in a incredibly shit position from it. See the young one and see, despite being told that no, you're never going to reach it, no, all of this, still so desperate and hungry to fight for this dream that you so desperately held on to, and then that fire reignites in you a little bit yourself. That is quite a touching moment, and quite one that resonated a bit within me.
So Kiritsugu Mystery Cancer.
I think this is yeah, sorry, I want to hear about this.
Yeah, I'm interested for this as well.
How does Kiritsugu die? Is it
Kiritsugu dies, and this is the most...
Is it Tiger's fault?
No, it's not Tiger's fault at all. This is the most weird sort of bullshit reason, because it makes sense in a genuine thing. It doesn't make sense that it happens where it happens. So, Kiritsugu, when he rejects the Grail at the end of Zero, he rejects it entirely. The Grail decides, oh no, go get diddled, bitch, and decides to curse him, and because of course the Grail holds every curse in the world, he gets cursed with every curse in the world. However, the Grail then decides, nah, go fuck yourself, and then picks Kirei as the winner and does its bullshit.
So he literally got magic lurgy.
He genuinely got magic cancer from the Grail, which is every person that has ever fucked over the Grail or the person that was once the Grail, pulls into one and decides to fuck over one guy specifically. For some reason, he magically makes it enough years for Shiro to become an adult, and then the curse finally takes over when he decides, oh good, I can stop fighting it because Shiro's decided to take on the same pain as me, and then dies.
Okay.
Also, there's a sort of thing to Kiritsugu's story that no one really picks up on, or no one really talks about or brings up. It's like, oh, he did what was right in the end, and he had a great thing, and he passed on quite happy because he knew that someone else was going to do the right thing in the end. Yeah, he fucking did, but also in the end, he passed on with the curses of everyone dragging him down into hell for eternal damnation and suffering.
I mean, literally, ever a more apt death for Kiritsugu, I kind of think it's that. A man who lives his basic entire life suffering as much as humanly possible.
I feel so much for that guy. Like, everything he did in his life, he tried to do the right thing.
It's way, shape, he watches everyone he ever cares about get turned into a vampire. Then he goes off and becomes a magical assassin and has to... I think. Okay, I'm just gonna rewind here. My favorite bit.
Happy Mother's Day.
My favorite bit of Zero, genuinely, is kind of when we're having these flashbacks of Kiritsugu, and we've previously seen him, doing all these things, and we've seen him in like very early on, shooting down a plane with a bazooka and just kind of stern-faced about it. It's when they go back, do all this thing, and you see him do that and then just break down in the boat because he's realized what he's done.
I was hoping you were saying
that is
the moment of
one of the greatest moments in anime. It got me.
It's so good. Dropping the rocket launcher and just hearing the line after killing talking to the person he just killed, of just saying like, I did it again, but I did the right thing, right? I had to. And he has so much conviction in his voice, like you can hear it in the way it's going along, that he has the conviction that what he's done's right, yet still he collapses and hates himself for it.
He's the man who cares about his goal more than he cares about himself.
Yeah.
And as a person who is very similar to that in personality, that resonated with me so much.
Ah shit, that's why you murdered all those kids.
One of my favorite details about that, actually, if you go back and watch episode 1 when Kiritsugu and Kira are reading each other's rap sheet, the one thing which Kira really gets surprised about is like bombing, poisoning, assassination, blowing up a plane because their target was on it, and he's like, wait, what the
target was on the plane! Like, genuinely, when I watched that with Pete, I didn't actually notice that until my third rewatch of Zero.
Yeah, that's the only thing he flips his shit about.
My third rewatch, I genuinely sat up and was like, holy fuck. And everyone was like, what? And I just had to be like, oh no, nothing, I just got a weird message.
It's like Kirei, who is arguably like Fate's personification of evil intentions. Even he looks at that and goes, "That's a bit much."
Right.
Yeah.
Before we get too much into this one character, I'm actually quite curious. Right. What are each of our favorite pairs from Fate Zero? Like, what's our favorite teams?
You mean Master and Servant?
Yeah, first time through, who are you supporting to win?
Do you mean first time or altered?
We'll tell you what. Give me both. Just give me both.
Honestly, I didn't root for anyone to win, and I think that might be down to the fact that I knew kind of how it was going. I was more along. I think I was more along for the ride than I was about the thing. I did start to become quite attached to Ryder, but at the same time, but at the same time, I know this was kind of like about halfway through. I started to think this guy's character's a bit one note at times, and I started to shift a bit more back towards Saber, and seeing how she kind of develops through it. Right. And I'm going to go back to one of Lewis's points from the very first podcast, the Three Kings episode.
It's the best scene. It's the best
scene. My favorite scene.
Where Gilgamesh is essentially berating her and telling her that she is not a good leader, and she's
no. If you actually look at the scene, Gilgamesh is egging her on. Ryder is berating her.
Yeah, sorry, that's right. Yeah, but it's the fact that she's desperately trying to defend herself, and you can start to see within her head
the cracks
where she's starting to doubt herself, where she's thinking, no, I was a good king. Wasn't I a good? I think I was a good king. But she doesn't know anymore, and it's where she then comes. And then if you then watch Fate after that, when you watch Dean Stay Night or watch Unlimited Playworks, and it's how she's portrayed, you can see that's the point where she kind of starts to doubt herself.
See, I love that, and that's one of the reasons, going back to literally the start of the podcast, I say Zero is a great starting point, because you get to see going in. You see this Saber that's conflicted. You don't see this, why is this girl thinking these things while her identity is
I will
half of the show.
I will almost argue that I think Zero is a great second show because you know where it's going. Because you can what?
No.
Oh, this is it, ladies and gentlemen. The first mine has been stepped on.
The
controversy.
So much better not knowing who wins.
You see, when the city got annihilated and Kiritsugu looked like someone just shot his kid away, like I was just so fucking like,
dude, yeah, the end of Zero, like the bit where you're like, okay, Kiritsugu's gonna win, and then it's like even if you sit down it straight, you look at it and you genuinely look at it as a straight anime show, and you're like, well, Kiritsugu and Saber are 100% like the main character hero team. They're gonna win. They're just gonna win. Zero still hits you with the gut punch at the end of, no, they fucking didn't. Despite
Yeah,
the
can
fact
I-
They could have. No, they fucking didn't. And if you go into
oh.
any of the later stuff, you know that.
Alastair, what was your favorite pairing?
Yeah, Can I talk now for a bit? Because I've been quiet for like 30 minutes. Yeah,
Just
my.
shout.
I
You just need to shout.
Yeah,
mate.
I just kind of. No, but I left you guys to it because you guys were doing fine. But my
Oh,
like.
Now we fucked up.
My kind of like my favorite pairing wasn't actually a pairing because they weren't actually master and servant, but I really like the dynamic between Irisfield and Saber. Like
Oh,
I
cool.
I enjoyed their
Yeah.
dynamic, even though that like they weren't master and servant, but they kind of portrayed it as that because she was trying to be a decoy essentially. But I did like their dynamic because I felt like Irisfield kind of saw things like her ideals were closer to Saber's than Kiritsugu's, in the sense of he just like was like, all I want to do is I want to stop needless like fighting and bloodshed, but to do that I have to be do evil things to get there essentially.
Well, for half the series, for half the series, I appreciated that his goal to the audience and to Saber was, "I'm going to win. Fuck you."
He is a non-master throughout that entire series. I will argue. He even up until that final episode does not do anything which I would describe as being a pairing with Saber. Saber's a
He
tool.
talks to her 3
Yes.
times.
Saber's a tool to him, and even when he's getting that, she's a tool.
Yeah.
The last thing that he ever does to her is completely against her will. He's like, "You do that fucking shit, or I will hit you."
Yeah.
And,
Well, it's
like,
it's the moment with the whole the moment where they get rid of Lancer and his master. That just is just like Saber. The
Oh,
way Saber just
mold.
looks at him is just like, you have literally betrayed everything that I hold dear, and you've just like, I literally think you're the spawn of evil now because what he does is unforgivable to her, to the levels of
does
just.
some horrible things during that show. I mean, he fries a dude's magical circuits to the point where he's paralyzed, like
But then
just
again,
to get him
that's
out
his-
of it.
On the other hand, that is his only weapon. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has magic ribs.
Yeah. Well.
My favorite pairing was Matau and Berserker, and the reason I loved them so much was because the moment I saw them and I realized that all he wants to do is protect this one little purple girl, I was like, "Oh, they're gonna fucking die," because his cause is so small in comparison to everyone else's. That guy's fucking dead. He's so dead.
Can I throw down and say that Kirei, when he's on his own, when he's in that kind of middle section between when Assassin dies and Gilgamesh turns up and is like, "Hey buddy, I got things we can do," is
You want some cheap wine?
literally is as well. That's a super interesting section, and also I will never not laugh at the fact that we've got the gates of Babylon, which summon every noble phantasm basically known to man, and in my head there's a special room in there which is just full of wine that he can just, which he does on multiple occasions, just go, "I want some wine." Oh, hello, wine. I also just can't imagine. I'm also imagining him when he was first learning to use Gate of Babylon, forgetting where he puts things, putting his hand out to get some wine, and just having a sword just go straight through it.
I believe at one point he does make the offhanded comment that he's not entirely sure what's in there anymore because there's just too much of it. Like, I
Yeah.
can't remember where that comment's made. I'm fairly sure that comment's made at some point. Like, it's all in there. Like, I know it's all in there, but I've got. It's very disorganized.
The ancient Babylonian fucking planes.
I've
The-
just thought of the
Oh,
great-
fucking ancient Babylonian jet fighter CG fight
Oh,
is weirdly
no,
hyped.
Lewis, don't talk about the alien planes. Then we have to get into other things.
Yeah. No. The
Oh, no, Nowverse.
Natsuverse, mate.
One of my favorites,
Nah.
going off of like Hugh's previous stuff, there was is like Gilgamesh. He's there. He's like, "Oh, you like to be chained, do you, baby?" He's like, "Well, I got something for you." He pulls out Chains of Heroes, but instead of Chains of Heroes, he just basically Unlimited Blade Works sabers the shit out of her, and then he just slowly backs out of the room one tiptoe at a time, backtracking.
Can we
See, I quite like
here?
chains. Do you like chains? At which point he drapes his girlfriend all over the target, then walks away.
I'm gonna. What?
Go on.
Yeah, I was about to change topic completely in the sense of I was going to talk about something else that I like about Fate Zero that it does for me, which
You
is.
Go ahead, man.
I mean, did we do everyone's pairings?
I don't know.
Just
Well,
go,
we do-
Al. You're
Well,
the podcast leader.
Yeah,
and you're the podcast leader and you haven't spoken enough. Go for it.
Yeah, well, one of the things I do like that Zero does to improve the Fate route for me in a way is it shows a lot more and makes me understand Elia a lot more, because essentially all she wants in the Fifth Grail War, as in the original stuff, is all she really wants is her family back. She wants a family again, because that's what she loses at the end of Zero. She thinks she knows her mum's dead, she thinks her dad betrayed her, and has run off with this unknown child to essentially replace her. That's what she thinks. And
From the get-go, she doesn't care about Shiro. She cares about getting Kuritsugu back, but she can't do that, so she can, get to Shiro.
yeah,
Hence why I like Dean's Stay Night so much, because it's the only route where we actually get a happy Elia.
yeah, and it literally, because at the end of that route, she gets what she wants, which is she gets a family again and have Shiro as a brother. And I think that Zero adds that level of I understand Elia's character a lot more, and it does that with a lot of other characters as well.
Does it with Elias Veal is to the kind of almost underlyingly super strong in that show, that she's kind of this character that you don't really expect anything of to begin with, and as you kind of go through, she does kind of nothing, but kind of you start to understand that she's doing nothing because she knows there's nothing she can do. She's the character that internally knows, I have a reason for being alive. I can't fight this. All I can do is kind of just carry on until everything happens, and I really like that part of her.
I just thought in my head, with regards to your comment earlier of the Unlimited Blade Works movie stealing shots from Dean. I genuinely think that's correct, because I think they also stole a lot of not Unlimited Blade Works movie, sorry, Unlimited Blade Works from You Vertical.
Was this me earlier? Yeah, that was me earlier. Yeah.
I genuinely think with your they stole shots from Dean. Well, that's true, because they also stole shots from Prisma Ilia, where they unnecessarily put Ilia randomly naked in a bath in a scene that never existed in any other medium ever.
Yeah, that was a bit strange.
And concentrated on it for about 5 minutes.
Well, you see, that was the bit right before she got torn to shreds by wolves, which is, let's be honest, an upside to that scene.
No. That's when she's in the Einsburn Manor and then remembers nearly being torn to shreds by wolves back in Germany.
You mean the time where she actually? You mean the time where she summons Berserker for the first? Because the Ares was just like, we need her to summon this servant quickly. Throw her out into the woods. Either she dies or she gets a servant. So it's basically win-win.
What the fuck was that accent, Hugh? I'm sorry, I've got absolutely nothing for you.
I don't know.
Listen, the Einsburns are German. You got two options. You either got fantastically camping gay or Nazi. You got two of them. Just pick.
Either she salmon or she wins. Nah, man.
Either she dies or she wins.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Don't do it.
And that also,
Okay. Oh no.
the Ilia stuff kind of brings me on to, out of both shows, Zero and Unlimited Blade Works, it brings me on to probably what I find one of the most depressing deaths from the thing, which is when Ilia dies in Unlimited Blade Works. It just, to me, it's just I was in shock when I watched that.
I was
for the first
so
time.
happy.
Everything's I'm the complete opposite of you. Everything sad in my life came back to me when Elia gets her heart ripped out. I was unhappy.
I mean, it's the fact that it starts by Berserker getting molested, then her eyes just getting slashed so she's blind, to which point all she does is cry out for Berserker, and then just gets stabbed,
Already gone.
and then
Listen,
her heart
Blind
gets
for-
reversed.
Listen, love blind foreigner gets her heart broken by attractive man. Just it's a tale as old as time. It's fine. Like
It's that entire
Lewis, just
scene
because
in
of that German girl that fucked with you, you've not got to drag it up every time.
wait, which German girl which fucked with me?
It was a joke, mate.
Oh right, yes. Funny.
welcome back to the fake cast.
Welcome back to the fake cast.
We've come back after Lewis opened his heart to all of us.
You may have
Oh,
wondered
that was
right
rough.
there. You may have wondered right there why there was a sudden cut in audio and why we suddenly had a technical difficulties thing flash up on screen. Don't you worry about it, dear viewer.
Don't you worry about
All
it.
you need to know is that Lewis is gone and crying in the bathroom.
All you need to know is
Sex
that Lewis
Lewis.
is a sensible and stable human being, and
Just
he's
like
doing
our-
perfectly
just-
fine now.
Just like our government.
Hugh, I appreciate the fact that you know when I said I'm crying in the bathroom, your issue with my sentence was Lewis couldn't possibly be doing that. He's saying it right now.
I have an.
It's not that I'm crying in the bathroom.
I'm an incredibly logical human being, and you know of this. Oh God.
Yes.
Does anybody
Then
have
why'd you
anything?
get upset by the inevitability of the child being killed in the murder war?
Okay,
Because it turns out I liked the child that was in the. I thought she was an interesting.
Shit.
Dean
shit.
Stay Knight
You
before the
can't
point.
You can't say that.
What?
We'll revoke your check.
before we move on,
It's a pretend character, and I like her as.
And it looks like it's not
Yeah.
a pretend check.
yeah, before
To be fair, the Tiger Dojo is the greatest fucking thing ever.
How? Why?
Tiger
What?
Dojo.
No.
Haji
Stop.
Mario.
Stop. Worry.
It directly relates to Ilya.
Let's just stop.
She's
Let's
student number
just
one.
stop.
okay.
Let's stop. We'll come on to this when we
Does,
talk about
does anybody else have anything?
Well, I was
particularly
gonna ask.
works or zero?
I was gonna ask one question to all of you guys about those two shows. What is your favorite fight? This is difficult.
Ooh.
No, that's because no, it isn't. It's Zero and it's Lancer versus in the Docklands, because that is the perfect fight for two very very intelligent human beings having to calculate literally every move, and it isn't just going smack 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 smack, which a lot of things do. It actually sits down, slows down, and goes, why am I swinging my sword? Why am I stabbing this? Why am I doing this? And it also ends quite perfectly with just Ryder turning up and going, "Me too," which I love.
Me too.
It is though. Anyway, that's my opinion.
My favorite fight. We going between the two?
Yeah, like of both, like
Honestly, my favorite fight is Ryder versus Gilgamesh,
Ooh.
because I think
the non-fight.
there's genuinely. I love the fight because it starts off as someone reigniting the flame in a person. Not even igniting a flame in someone for the first time ever, and the fight begins to happen and it ends before it's even really begun, and the guy knows it's over, but if he stands down now, then he's nothing. Like that, he has no, everything he stood by, everything he's talked about is gone if he refuses to go forwards at this point. And so he continues forwards and does the one thing he can and saves the life of this person whose flame he's reignited, and charges forwards knowingly into his own death, and gets further than anyone bar two very specific people.
It's the battle of two noble phantasms, and it is the only time you see that distinct difference where we're brought up at that point before then to think that a noble phantasm is an end game, that if someone uses the noble phantasm, gone, whoever's fighting them is gone. And Ryder uses that noble phantasm, and you're in your head of thinking, this is it. This is the point where Gilgamesh finally gets that fight that we've been wanting to see against him, where he's actually fighting against someone who can actually take him on, and it's not even a patch on him.
But this is one where I'll really give you heads up as well, Hugh,
Mm.
of watch the Stay Night or UBW before Zero, because the emphasis of Gil just willingly from the get-go pulling out Aya against this opponent means so much more.
Oh no! I'm completely aware of what it means.
Like,
Yeah.
the fact
Aya
that
is almost the most powerful thing in the universe.
Well, the fact that Gil just pulls it out the second the fight starts and just goes, no, I'm going to use this, has zero hesitation. And it's the thing that he says he will, like, never use ever against anyone because no one is worthy of it. The fact that and also his final words in the fight to his defeated opponent and everything, it just works so beautifully as a scene.
Oh, no, it's great. I will not argue with that. It's a
Yeah, like
great
fight
fight.
choreography, hype, emotion, and also characterization. That scene to me has every one of them A+.
Can we also just kind of acknowledge that after Ryder has gone, and it's the little kind of conversation that Gilgamesh and
that's
Waver
pretty
have
good.
at the where like Gilgamesh is essentially decides to spare his life.
Yeah.
Kill him. And then
Yeah.
it's just that loyalty.
I think it shows that I love that bit because it shows that Gilgamesh is A, the most powerful being in the universe, but B, he's the most powerful being in the universe who's still willing to play along. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
I don't
my
think
favorite
he's willing
fight.
to play along at that point. I think that.
Well, he's playing along with because Waver, by all rights, he should annihilate Waver, but he decides not to because he's playing along with Ryder's last wishes and to the courage that this boy has shown him.
Well,
This
no,
it's-
would
it's-
be
it's-
more
genuinely think
interesting.
at that point, Ryder and Waver, like even possibly Waver, so more than Ryder, has earned more respect in Gilgamesh's eyes than anyone. I genuinely think he probably respects them more than Saber.
Yeah,
I don't.
'cause,
Yeah.
I'd
Saber's
argue that Gilgamesh almost doesn't respect Saber. He almost sees Saber as this person who
He sees
he
Saber
just
as an object. Yeah,
he is. He sees Saber as an object. He sees her as kind of almost like the ultimate trophy wife, where it's just like this is kind of almost the most powerful female that's ever lived. I must have her.
Yeah.
but that's just because he wants everything that is worth having, not
Basically.
not because he wants it, but for its own sake.
What about you, Lewis?
My favorite fighter. So Gilgamesh is my favorite character in all of fucking Fate, like all of it. Every single goddamn bit of him is just cash fucking money. How you write a good antagonist? Like he's fucking incredible. So pretty much everything in my list will always revolve around him somehow. For Ben, I totally agree with you. I love the bit where it's just okay, this guy's done absolutely everything and he never stood a chance. Like just fuck you. Like just fuck you. Genuinely, I still feel salt to this day, as a matter of fact, with the fact that fucking Shiro beats Gilgamesh, because I don't care what everyone says. Like, just I don't care. I don't care. He's too good. My favorite fight is between the initial fight, and then the follow-up air combat between him and Berserker. Because the initial bit where Gilgamesh is like, you fucking dog, throws a bunch of shit at him, you get a beautiful slow motion scene where fucking Berserker demonstrates his noble phantasm. It just really demonstrates. Stop fucking memeing, I'm making my point. Anyway, fucking the spam in the chat, viewers, help me.
My
fucking,
owl
like-
is wet, Lewis.
Oh, fucking fuck off.
Oh, I just
No.
read that as you read it out to me, and it was perfect.
Continue.
Stay tuned
Oh.
for Hugh's ASMR video after this.
Oh god, no! Like, what?
Oh. Yeah, let's
Doesn't
get
even
this
mind
let's get
That's
going.
That's fine. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. It only demonstrates their characters really well, and it also shows a certain playfulness of Gilgamesh. We want to fucking hear about that. Let's get more Mappo memes in. Come on, everyone. Come on, everyone.
You're right, Lewis. End of part 1. I've still got penis worms.
For goodness sake.
I also
I love the introduction of Berserker's character because it is just it perfectly introduces him, and I'd argue it perfectly introduces Gilgamesh and Doom with other people. Of course, that is not as good as Gilgamesh's what could not even be described as a fight, where he is introduced by properly fucking assassin into the floor.
Yeah. I've shown you, Lewis, Fate Zero Abridged, where it's shown that he wasn't supposed to do that. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, fucking you see that. See, those are my favorite fights. I also do quite like everything. I also, I get this is just like minor things, less than a big fight. Because I could go on about the Gilgamesh Berserker one, I'm already short on time, I imagine as it is. But like, I just love Gilgamesh shagging assassin. I like Gilgamesh shagging rider, and I also am very fucking fond of fucking Archer quick scoping Hercules.
Yes.
Yeah, just. It's like written, honey. Yeah, you might want to two steps back.
Any time anyone to me is just a great bit where it is just it's almost the demonstration of him. He's just like, I can do this if I want, bump, and just nuking it. Like it's the point where he essentially in Unlimited Blade Works takes one shot across the entire city at the Saber Berserker fight, and you later find out, oh yeah, he didn't give a sod who was in that. Like he was just like, oh, yeah, if I kill Shiro, bonus. If I kill Rin, who cares?
Yeah.
Alastair, you haven't said your favorite fight.
Just before we do, I just want to say that Ben has just posted a picture onto the chat with Shiro clenching his hands.
That's not Ben, mate.
Oh, sorry, that's Hugh.
You're
Sorry,
reading my
bad.
reaction to the picture.
I'm reading your reaction. And
I
it
know
is
you're
one
always thinking of me, Lewis, but God.
it's one of Shiro just saying, I want to put the bone of my sword inside Tosaka's anus and give her a strong heavens feel. Thank you, Joe. Joe also knew that one off by heart. I'm slightly alarmed by that, but that's okay. Alastair, you can give your opinions now.
My favorite fight. This is actually really hard for me because there's a bunch of them that I like. I like all the ones that you've previously mentioned, and they probably could all like top.
Can we hang on a second, Ben? You're getting feedback from Al on your mic.
Oh no, it's the
Oh no.
Continue, Al.
Yes,
It might just been me giggling at Alastair just being like, oh, it's really hard. That was
Continue,
Al.
Yeah, so I think I will go with the fight between Shiro and Archer, just because the fact that it's the point where that's the point where you realize that they're both the same person, essentially, and the fact that he's having to face himself, essentially, is what that fight is. It's him facing himself on both sides. Like, it's Shiro facing Archer, which is he doesn't like what he's become, and Archer facing Shiro in the sense he doesn't like what he used to be, which is interesting. Just like it's a visual representation of him facing himself.
Well, the Archer bit there isn't that he doesn't hate what he used to be. He hates the fact that this leads him to what he is.
Yeah. Okay. Probably a better way of phrasing it, but yes.
But I agree. I think there are a lot of insanely strong fights in the entire show, and I think you could probably fill an entire podcast with just discussing them. Because I mean, heck, as much as I holds it in complete, disregard, the Shiro Gilgamesh fight can be argued to be an incredibly well put together fight.
Yeah.
You know what? No. Fuck it. I'm changing my answer. The best fight is the fucking Kiritsugu versus Canis fight. Either of them. Most notably the first, where he fucking blows up a building and just wins.
That is my introduction to fucking Fate. Now, the thing is, I didn't argue that as a fight. That's definitely one of my favorite bits of all Fate. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think we've spoken about these two shows for quite a long time. So, I mean, there's also Heaven's Feel at this point, but we won't say too much about it because spoilers to the max.
It's in my top 3 because it's really good.
Ding.
It's a good route.
There's one movie out of 3 out, and it's so far really good. Yeah, I mean, there's not.
Blade Works is my favorite route, but you know, Heavens feels really fucking good.
I think that's mainly because he likes Rin.
Hey, me liking Rin has nothing to do with it. The most emotionally attached
Everything.
route
Sorry,
I
what?
have is the
I
Fate.
think you mispronounced that for a second.
When that thing comes out on Blu-ray, I'm buying it so much.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we're done with Unlimited Budget Works. Moving on to the next segment, which is
Are we doing this in 2 parts?
I'm just going to record it as one full block and then maybe split it.
Cool. Hang on a second. In case you decide to split it, that ends part 1.